Welcome everyone to a new Push Technology webinar. Today we're going to talk about how to solve the Kafka data firehose challenge and see what are the challenges that are presented in the industry around this technology, and how can Diffusion and Diffusion Cloud, which are our leading products at Push Technology, how this technology can help us solve that challenge. My name is Matthias. I'm one of the senior product managers at Push Technology. I've been working with the company for a bit over 2 years now, and my focus has been user experience and improving usability, discoverability of our features, and the use of our products like Diffusion Cloud and Diffusion Console, which we're going to see during this webinar. And my focus has been how to bring that technology to our users, to our customers, and how to make it easier for everyone to use and really take advantage of all these capabilities. So today we're going to focus specifically on Kafka, but as you may know, we also can integrate to other data sources, both to consume and ingest from multiple data sources, as well as to broadcast and publish that data to backend services, databases, end consumers, mobile web, IoT. But again, today the focus will be mostly backend and around Kafka technology. So let's get going. So on today's webinar, we're going to try to achieve or clearly describe 3 things. The first is to learn how to use Diffusion Cloud, which is our online solution. We have both an online cloud solution where we provide a diffusion service for our customers. We have a free tier for people to start playing with the product, understanding the capabilities and the power behind those features. But we also offer an on-prem solution, which is fully deployed on our customers' systems, and they have full control of that, especially when it comes to security and some limitations around that. The on-prem solution might be a better fit, but we recommend everyone, especially new customers, to start trying our Diffusion Cloud solution because of the ease of use. Is highly guided through UI, so it's a good way to start kind of ramping on the learning curve of Diffusion and the different features. So today we're going to try using Diffusion Cloud, learn how to use it, and apply this use case, this challenge using that product. The second thing is we're going to walk through a very simple project. In this case, we're going to illustrate how to replicate and fan out FX data, foreign exchange data, on real time from a cluster, a Kafka cluster, a Kafka site A, let's call it A, to another site B, using Diffusion Cloud and using our Kafka adapter, which is the way we can ingest and broadcast data from and to a Kafka cluster. And the third part, which in this case is something that we highly encourage our customers and users, especially when it comes to using Diffusion Cloud, is the ability to implement your solution with low code, which we provide an SDK in pretty much all the programming languages for people to easily connect, publish to Diffusion Cloud topic or consume from it and subscribe to it. But also we have a set of functionalities guided through UI, which allow people to also implement in full their use case with no code. So we're going to focus on a no-code solution today. And we're going to do that through the use of Diffusion Cloud and our console. So those are the 3 kind of main things that we're going to try to learn today in this webinar. So let's talk about some basic aspects about foreign exchange data. So in this particular example, and although there are other ways, we consider this probably one of the most common ways of dealing with big data streams, firehose of foreign exchange data. A typical structure would be a JSON structure, where we have, of course, all the information about the exchange rate. But there are two particular elements in that firehose, which is the pair name, or the two currencies pair that we are providing information about, the exchange rate from the offer, bid points, the highs, the lows, the open rate, exchange rate, and also not only all these different currency pairs, but also structure in tiers, which is the most common way as well. We have usually 3 tiers. Tier 1s are the central banks. The tier 2 are smaller banks, brokers, corporations, and tier 3 are individual retailers, retail traders. And the type of data, the frequency of that data can vary depending on which tier the consumer of the data is. So those are the two fundamental elements in this JSON structure that we really care about. But how does the data look like? The data looks like this. This is kind of the typical JSON firehose data stream that would be coming from Kafka, with all this information. Everything is there, all the tiers, all the different currency pairs. It's all in one big firehose, and it needs to be processed in order to be delivered to the consumers, either an end customer or another backend system or another Kafka site. So let's take a look at how or what the challenge looks like today around the Kafka data firehose. So we'll have in this case 2 clusters or 2 sites, site A on the left and site B on the right. Also, we could potentially have a control client or an application in the middle to also deliver these data to other backend systems or even to end consumers. But in order to do that, and in order to be able to deliver to one of our subscribers or consumers a specific portion of the data, in this example, for instance, we want to share tier 2 data for the foreign exchange data firehose for this particular currency pair, euros to euros dollars. So again, we start with that big firehose with all the data, all the tiers, all the currency pairs, and it needs to be processed. We need to do something with that data before we can send that out to other Kafka sites and other systems. So that processing will require to first identify the part of the data that I care about, or that my consumers care about. And of course, each consumer will have different requirements and different needs. So we need to do this at a much complex level. But once we do that kind of internal processing, identify the tier, the pair name that we care about, then and only then we can create a set of Kafka topics with that pre-processed, pre-digest firehose that we can send to the consumer in the form of another flat Kafka topic. And I say flat because you don't have the ability to support multi-level, multi-tier type of data model, although the JSON and the firehose itself, it has that data structure in it. In this case, we need to solve it by adding more processing, creating new topics, or using partitions in order to segment and fine grain the data that we want to deliver. So let's see how can we do the same thing and be able to only deliver the portion or part of the JSON from that ever streaming FX firehose. How can we send only the portion that we care and fine grain to that level on real time without having to add all these extra processing in the middle? So let's see how it would be solved with diffusion. So in this case, we put diffusion in the middle between the source of the data, in this case, again, the Kafka cluster A, which is just basically a system that is aggregating a lot of data, creating a firehose, a data stream, an FX data stream, and sending that out in one topic, in one flat topic called, in this case, FX pairs. So FX pairs contains the whole thing. We can ingest that into Diffusion using the Kafka adapter, which we'll see in a few minutes. And with that, that will enable a few things. And the first thing that will enable is this ability to dynamically create data models and multi-level topic trees, which will, in a way, reflect the data nature of that firehose. So that JSON has a structure based on its nature and on the needs of the business that is describing the JSON itself, that we can leverage, we can use to better describe dynamically, automatically, and on real time that data model. And how does it work? And here we see in the bottom part of the mid section, Diffusion can turn that firehose into a dynamic and ever changing topic tree. And in this case, now we have different rules, and we'll talk about something called topic views specifications in a minute. But we can basically identify those elements of the firehose that are fundamental to build a data model that fits the need. And those are, the pair names and the tiers. So we can basically structure in a form of a topic tree all the tiers and all the pair exchange for all those tiers. And it will look something like this. Currently, our UI would present you with something that looks like this. And the first thing you would see is the FX pairs, which is, again, the JSON, the firehose that has everything. But it also will dynamically and automatically create for us a set of new topics. And those topics at the same time have the notion or the concept of path, just like, file structures and the way we organize our folders, kind of in a similar way, with a similar idea. We can basically structure automatically information from that data source, from that firehose in this case, into a more organized topic tree. So we can have organization based on the different pair names, or we can organize that data in terms of the different tiers. And within each of the tiers, we can also have a more granular set of rules for describing each of the currency pairs. And in this case, let's say I'm focusing on specifically euros, dollars exchange rates for the third tier. I can visually find that on real time, again, as the stream of data is coming in. This is self-generating and allowing me to then have our users or consumers of that data subscribe to it directly. Same thing with the ability to broadcast those specific subtopics into another site, another Kafka site. So in a way, we can replicate in real time, not the whole firehose, but just a portion that we care about. And at the end of the day, we basically get exactly what we want, same as in the original example, but with Diffusion kind of seamlessly, automatically taking care of all the work. A few things that are interesting to understand beyond this example is Diffusion has the capability to understand how the data is changing, how that stream of data, the firehose, is changing and evolving. And with that ability, it can only send the deltas of that data, anything that is changing from the previous instant. So we see customers using Diffusion just to move data from a site A to a site B, even without using the capability of dynamic data models. They can see savings in the order of 50, 60, 70, all the way to 90%, of course, depending on how much each part of that JSON is changing. We can see data savings up to 90%. And if on top of that, we have the ability to have a more granular a model for for subscription to that data, you're going from 100% of your firehose to only a portion that you want to share or offer to your customers, which makes the bandwidth that requires for you to deliver that data even smaller, which is great. So let's see the two goals. So we have two goals. We're going to walk through some steps right after this slide on everything that we need to do in order to make this work, and so that you can see how simple it is. And those two goals are to learn how to use the Kafka adapter to both ingest data from Kafka or broadcast data from Diffusion to Kafka. And the second goal is to introduce the idea of and concept of topic views. In previous webinars, we've been talking about in details how to build topic views, how to take advantage of data wrangling. So we'll refer you guys to the recordings of those previous webinars. So if you want to learn more, there is more to be learned. But in this case, we're going to just go over the surface of topic views and the idea of how we can dynamically create or map part of this Kafka topic or firehose into a multi-level topic tree and rich data structures. The idea is here that we can enable on real time and on the fly the replication of fine-grained data within that firehose into a remote cluster. So let's take a look at what are the steps to make this possible. So the first thing, and then by the end of these few screenshots, we're going to go actually to Diffusion Cloud and see it in action. But the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to log into our Diffusion Cloud instance. We're going to go to a section called Kafka Adapter. Within the Kafka Adapter, we have the ability to both ingest data from Kafka or broadcast data to Kafka. In the first step, as we're consuming data from the Kafka cluster A, we're consuming that firehose. What we need to do is refer to that firehose hosted in a Kafka server. So there are basically two fundamental pieces of information. The first is the server, the host, the URI of that Kafka server. So we connect to it. And the second element is what Kafka topic in that server we want to consume. In this case, the FX pairs is the topic in Kafka that contains the firehose, that is updating and streaming this firehose of FX data. And the only thing that we're kind of telling the system, this is a JSON. It could be other formats, other types. So we say this topic is a value type, a JSON, and that is pretty much all we need to do in this section. By the time we assign or we describe the server URI, and we describe what is the topic from Kafka that we want to ingest, the only thing that we need to do, and that's the next step, is to see that data flowing into Diffusion. So in the console, there is a section called Topics. Within that section, we have a series of tabs. The two that we're going to focus on today is the topic browser and the topic views. So for the topic browser, it basically is a browser, just like your filed and folders browser, your Finder application, which you can see all the topics that have been ingested or created in your Diffusion service. In this case, it's a new service. The only topic is that Kafka topic that we just ingested using the Kafka adapter. And we can see right here in the root topic, that's the source topic, in this case, FX pairs, which is coming directly from Kafka. And then we can see, we can visualize the content of that topic, which in this case is the whole JSON. Now, of course, we are indenting and presenting it a bit better, but it's basically that firehose. All that is coming in. We're just taking it as it's coming. The one interesting thing about this is that anything between one instant of time and the next that doesn't change, for instance, all the names, you see timestamp, vid, big, points. There are a lot of information in that JSON that won't change from one instance to the next. Some of the values inside will, but most of the key names won't change. So we're not sending the part that doesn't change. And that already, provides an important data set. But here we basically have the whole firehose. What do we do next? So as I showed, let me go back to the previous, as I showed before, besides the topic browser, we will focus on the topic views. And this is the part that we focus on the topic views. What is a topic view and a topic view specification? Again, we're not going to go into details on this webinar, but is the ability through a very simple command to map an existing topic. In this case, we're going to map the FX pairs. This is the firehose, the data stream coming from Kafka cluster A. We're going to map that into a new topic, which is going to be called pairs. And then within that topic, we're going to create a topic tree structure, which will basically expand every pair name in that structure. So if you remember, when we were looking at the typical JSON structure for FX data, we see that there is all this bunch of information, but there are two things that we particularly care about, and that's the tiers and the pair name. So this gives us the ability to go look into that firehose, that FX pairs firehose, create a new topic, which in this case we call it pairs. It could be anything else. Now we choose whatever name makes sense for us. We'll expand every element and create new JSON topics based on the pair name in this case. So let's see how that map statement would look like. So we're going to map the firehose FX pairs to a new topic, which is called pairs, that within it has all the pair names. And on each of that pair name has all the tiers. So that's what he's doing this one. But we want to do more than that. We don't want to just break that down into pair names. We want to also break it down into tiers. So at this point, I already have everything broken down by pairs. Now, on top of that, I want to also create a new topic called tiers that will expand all the tiers that exist. In this case, that JSON is basically for each pair name has an array of 3 elements, goes from 0 through 2, which represents the 3 tiers that we mentioned earlier. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to basically expand and break down, fine grain the tiers for each of the pair names. So how is that going to look? As soon as we automatically create those specifications in order to automatically and dynamically create new topics and multi-level topics for us, it will look something like this. So again, we have the FX pairs, which is the firehose, the source topic from Kafka. But also, we will see that automatically new topics has been created. So like the pairs, which contains all the pair names, and also the tiers, which again is the array of all the tiers. 0 is tier 1, 2, and 3, and within each of the tiers there are all the pair names. This is created automatically and dynamically. So if in any point of time in the firehose new pair names appear, we don't need to do anything. We don't need to add any logic. We don't need to add any extra processing or intelligence. Diffusion will automatically realize that the JSON model, the JSON structure is changing, and will update accordingly. So if there were more tiers, that we would see more here. If there were more currency exchange pairs, we would see that there. If there were a new set of information, we would be able to automatically, seamlessly see that happening on real time here. And of course, once we have that structure in place, any consumer of that data from another cluster, another Kafka cluster, another backend system database, or even an end user can subscribe to any of these new topics. So they get a very fine grain slice of the firehose data. And as you can see here, now the JSON is much more simplified, that it only contains, let's say, the third tier of British pound, US dollar exchange rates. And that's the way we kind of have the ability, again, through no code, just no basic configuration, to extract fine grain and publish not the whole firehose, but only the part that we care about. And of course, last but not least, there are, again, different ways that you can, once you have those very rich data models and topic trees, you can basically allow people to subscribe to different elements of that topic tree. But also you can say, okay, I'm going to broadcast now or replicate some of that live real-time firehose to another Kafka cluster, another site. And in this case, we're going to broadcast to another server. So we provide that information. And then I say, these are all the fine-grained topics that I wanna send to Kafka. So here, the adapter will allow us to pick from the previous structure. Let me go back. So from this structure, which will generate different path for the British pound, US dollar, within tiers to GBP USD is what we see here, that path. It leaves that data, that portion of the JSON that we care about. So the adapter allow us to basically refer to any of the new topics that has been dynamically created, and it allows us to replicate that into a Kafka topic that will be sent to whatever other Kafka site we need. So basically enables the ability to replicate on real time in the milliseconds type of delay a portion of a live firehose into other backend systems and other sites. So that's kind of the steps. Now let's see that in action. Let me share another screen. So let's go here. Let me know if you can see my screen. Share. Okay, so now we are at the Diffusion cloud dashboard. So basically, when you go to our website, you have the ability to create an account from there. And basically, as soon as you create your account and sign up, you will be presented with a screen that looks kind of like this. Of course, mine already have a few services, but otherwise, you would see something like what you see on the bottom of the screen to create a new service. Just to quickly show you, it's very simple. It's free. You provide a name that you have in mind. Let's say the Kafka example. And I'm in the US. I'm going to choose this region, and will be created in a data center near me. And let's do that. So basically, we'll create an account for us. I'm not going to create one now because I'm using a free tier, and I can only create three services which I already have. So we'll create a service for you, and it will look something like this. So I'm going to actually go to one of them. So as soon as the service is created, we'll present you with this, where you can see all the different options on the left panel. And of course, one of those options, as we said, the first step is to set up our Kafka adapter. Just for sake of saving time, I already input the information about my Kafka server. There is a topic in that Kafka server that is called FX pairs, and it has a JSON, and I'm connecting to it. The next step is I need to go to the console here, and basically there I can see that data flowing in. So let me go here, which is the console. Okay, and there are a bunch of things you can do in the console. There's a lot of information about the health of your service, statistics of how many sessions, connections, how much data are you moving, how much data are you saving, because we are able to measure the amount of data that you are ingesting, and how intelligently we compress, we create deltas of that data, so you can see the amount of data savings that you have, especially if you have a cloud solution where you're paying by the data. But today we're going to focus on the topics section here. And as mentioned before, we have two areas that we care about: the topic browser and the topic views, which we're going to see right now. So on one hand, here we have the firehose, which right now I'm going to make sure, let me run, I have a different app running here, and I'm going to just get some data moving. So now that firehose is actually generating data, and we can see, let me see. Let's refresh here. Okay. So let me see if that. So no, my client is actually not sending data. Give me just 1 second. Okay, setting. All right, and let's try again. Give me just 1 second here. All right, let's see. Let's go back here. All right, so now it's running, and you will see, the pair names are changing. Of course, the values are changing as well. So this is a live data feed of Kafka Firehose pulling data into Diffusion, and we can see it here. Here has the whole thing, but now we can actually dynamically create more views. And here are the two views that I created. The first one I wanted to break down by currency. So again, I'm mapping the source topic, the FX pairs, to a new topic called pairs, which expand the pair names. And as soon as I click save, it automatically creates this. And within that, all the pairs that was able to identify in that JSON. So here it only has all the tiers. You can see the tiers array has all the tiers, but only for British pound, US dollar. This one has euros to British pound. Again, all the tiers. But I want to go an extra step. So I don't only want these. And again, as the data change and more currency exchange pairs appears, that will also be updated automatically here. But I want to go the extra mile and say, I'm not only want to have the breakdown by currency pair names, but also by tiers. So now I grab all the pairs and I create a new topic called tiers, and I will expand that for as many tiers there are. And that's what I see here. Now it creates another new topic called tiers. Within that, there are all the tiers that were identified in that JSON, which in this case are 3. And for any of those tiers, I can see all the pair names. Let's say the British pound to US dollar. And now I'm going to only see that tier for that currency pair. And that's how basically, this is the most basic, simple of all the use cases that you can do with topic views. You can do much more. You can combine two source topics that are bringing some information that you can correlate, and you can build a new topic view informed by 2 other topics. You can have conditionals. There are a lot of things that you can do to make it really interesting in terms of how you manage that data, how you can, in a very smart and dynamic way, allow your system to learn and build data models from the data itself. That is very powerful. So here we see, at this point, I was able to fine-grain my firehose here to basically whatever I want to slice and dice, which in this case are tiers and pair names. And now, at this point, I already have the data, and any customer of that data and any consumer of that data can subscribe to these topics in a typical PubSub model. Or I can also, and I'll go back to the Kafka adapter, I can also say, what? Now that I have all this very rich multi-level topic tree, what I'm going to do now, I'm gonna go ahead and replicate and fan out a subset of these reach topic views, I'm going to replicate, fan out that to other sites. So the broadcast section of the Kafka adapter allows us to do the same thing. So very simple. We provide the URI of the server that I'm going to broadcast to, the Kafka server that I will broadcast to. And I'm going to say, these are all the, let me go back quickly here. So again, for any of the subtopics that you select, you will see that there is a topic path, that's how we call it, of that multi-level structure. And these are, basically elements that you can refer to from either, a consumer client when you're using our SDK to subscribe to a topic, but also from the adapter itself. So we are referring to that path that is a topic that already exists and is on real time moving and fine-graining the data from the firehose. So as it changed, it also changed here. And we can broadcast whatever is going on that topic to a Kafka topic. Again, a flat structure that is supported by Kafka. But again, at that point, you can send to Kafka a fine-grained version of your firehose. That's it. No, in this case, the only thing that we tell them as well is what type of Kafka topic would be, which is a JSON. We give a name so that it exists under a given name in Kafka. We refer to the topic view that we're going to be listening to for any change in the value. And that's how basically we move that data. Let me quickly go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, here. And so a few things I know we want to share with you guys, and I think it could be of extra value for you to try this example and play more. Of course, we invite you all to go to pushtechnology.com. At pushtechnology.com, there is a lot of information about use cases and code examples and all the capabilities behind Diffusion. It has a walkthrough of everything that you can do with Diffusion in different market segments, on the finance world, on the e-gaming, sportsbook, on the IoT world, on the mobile and web app type of applications. So you can learn about all the things that we can do, but particularly within our website, there are two things that I would like to point you guys to. And of course, all this information with the links will be provided. But basically, our two things are blogs and tutorials, where you can find this particular example. We have written a tutorial with all the steps for doing this. And of course, we have on GitHub something called the Diffusion Playground, where we have a lot of examples. And actually, I'm gonna share that with you. Show that now. Let me go back to here, and let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. So here is our website, and this is particularly the tutorial for how to fine grain and fan out Kafka events firehose between clusters. So I kind of describe the whole webinar as we went through just now, and of course at the end it invites you to download the code. Although this is a no-code solution, if you go to the code, again, is all the details and all the steps very well described. But we also provide with a client, both a client to produce and connect to a Kafka firehose, and also a client that consumes that data using our SDK. In this case, we're using the JavaScript SDK, but we also provide with all the code for subscriber app, producer app, and it's extremely simple. If you want to go into the SDK part of the thing, it's very simple how we do it. It's very simple to connect to Diffusion and use the library. It's extremely simple to listen to a topic in real time. You can see in a few lines of code how we can now create a full client. So all that is available on the GitHub repository called Diffusion Playground. Let me see. Any question? I'm going to check on the chat or the Q&A. So if there's any question, comment that you want to share, I would like to use the next few minutes for questions. So I'm going to open the mic now for everyone as well. Okay, so the mic it's open. So if anyone has a question, you can do so now. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much it from my side. I would like to thank you all for your time today. I hope you liked it. I hope you can go back to your workstation now and create a Diffusion Cloud account if you don't have one already, and play with this example that you can download from GitHub. Thank you very much to everyone again. Have a great day, and talk to you soon. Bye.